G'day, I'm Paul. You are looking at the most expensive MG ever to go on sale. It's called the MG Cyberster. It kind of signals a new direction for the brand. Yes, they've always been about affordable cars, but MG is moving more upmarket with pricing and some of the features that they're offering. And certainly this as well. This is an electric convertible, something we haven't seen on the market here in Australia, and certainly something that MG hasn't done before. This is priced from 115 grand in Australia. It is only available in one spec. It is an all-wheel drive, go fast trim. This is available overseas with a smaller battery and rear-wheel drive, but we don't get that variant in Australia. Today we're going to do a detailed review of this car, so if you do want to skip ahead to other parts of the review, you can use the timecodes on the screen, or if you're on YouTube, you can scroll down and use the chapters below. So what's all this about? Let's look at the design first. Optional colours are going to set you back from $1,000, and you can get two different roof colours as well. You've got either red, like you see here in the sort of burgundy shade, or a black colour, depending on the body colour that you go for. This is kind of a, dare I say it, beige. Actually, it looks pretty decent, and I guess it has to look decent as well. This is big sticker price for a car, especially for MG, and I don't know, it needs to have that stylish vibe. Styling is entirely subjective, but I do sort of think it looks pretty good. Down the front here, full LED headlights. You've got a big gaping grille there. That is primarily for cooling for the battery system. This is a car that'll do 0 to 100 in just over 3 seconds. So it is colossally quick. MG logo down the bottom here. Then around the side, you've got a set of 20-inch alloy wheels with some low profile rubber. Hopefully that doesn't mean the ride is terrible. Machined finish there, and then piano black in the centre. Sorry, the car's a bit dirty. It was bucketing down this morning. You've got Brembo brakes there as well. This is a fairly heavy car, 2-ton curb mass. So you've got to have big stoppers there to pull it up. So we'll see how they perform a little bit later on. Got this black section that runs all the way down the side of the car with 100th anniversary here for the MG brand. Now this is interesting too. Lambo vibes to the doors here. Watch this. So you press this button, and then the door opens up, kind of like a scissor door, but it's entirely electric fitting the way the rest of the car works. And there is an interesting element here as well. This little sensor here, it's there to prevent you from opening the door into other cars or people. So if I go to open that, and I stand there, you can see it'll stop there before it actually hits anything. So pretty decent sort of setup. And then the red roof that I mentioned before. Come right to the back with me. You've got full LED lights at the rear here, including this interesting indicator setup as well. So kind of looks really cool at night with that whole thing stretched across there. Cyberster here, and then another MG logo up the back here. Interesting placement sort of up the boot there, but it is sort of sitting behind this brake light that's integrated into there as well. And then a piano black diffuser down the bottom as well. This will do a top speed of over 200 k's an hour. So pretty impressive setup there. Now let me know what you reckon in the comments section below. It is a lot of money. Do you think it's too much money? I'm keen for your feedback. Let me know what you reckon about the design and the pricing down there. Okay, so we're in the Cyberster. This is what the key looks like. You've got MG up the top there. That's your lock and unlock button. You've got a button to open each side of the car and close each side of the car. The doors will literally open up, which is kind of a cool party trick. You've got a button there for the boot, and then a panic button and nothing on the back. It's a proximity sensing key. Oh, that's interesting. It says MG, the roaring raindrop. Must be a reference to the key. Anyway, this is a proximity sensing key, so you can leave that in your pocket and then the door opens like you saw before. It has no start button. You just push your foot on the brake. In theory, it's a good idea, but unfortunately, as we discovered, if you don't lock the car, it all just stays running. So the AC stays running and everything keeps going, and it drains your battery. So you've got to go through the menus to basically power it off if you want to leave the car unlocked. Bit of an edge case, but just something to keep in mind. Now, in terms of the design, this all looks pretty cool. Like for the price that you're paying, it actually does feel like you're getting sort of decent value for money here. You've got these really cool looking seats with that red Alcantara. You've got red Alcantara here on this side as well with like a grab handle as well. You've got this textured material in the center here. So I'm glad they didn't just go down the path of having piano black literally everywhere inside the car. They've got this sort of stuff breaking it up, which is good. And then the cup holders sort of move up and down as well to give you a bit of variety there in terms of the glasses and cups you can hold. There are some issues though with this layout, and I'll run through that shortly, but for the most part, it does look pretty decent. What about your touch points? So sort of soft-ish there, and then soft on the door as well. How soft are they? We've got our durometer. Tested the main surfaces in this cabin. If you do want to see how this car compares to other cars that we've tested before, have a look at the link in the description below. Now, build quality, what is it like? That is solid as anything. I won't bother doing a door slam, which is what we do. Actually, I will. Here you go. You can have a listen to it. Here it goes. Now let's talk infotainment. This is a bit of an interesting one because you've got a number of screens to work with here. You've got one down here, which is a 7-inch display, two 7-inch displays on either side of that driver cluster, and then the driver cluster, which is 10.25 inch. So start over here. This is basically where you run your climate controls, and this is also where you change some of the vehicle settings as well. And it's kind of like a shortcut menu for some of the features and switching off some of the sort of driver nannies as well. It's also where you're going to find the gear selector too. It's just a set of buttons over to the right-hand side, along with buttons to operate the doors and the roof as well. Then on the left-hand side is, well, I guess it's the main infotainment screen. So this has your satellite navigation that is built in. It also has your radio, AM, FM, DAB, and that's all pumped through a Bose branded 8-speaker sound system, which is pretty decent. You also have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Both of those are wired, unfortunately. I would have thought wireless in this day and age would have been a thing. You've also got your phone menu on that side as well. Over to the right-hand side, you've got some of the vehicle's settings and also the charging settings, weather and other connected services as well. That's all operated through the right-hand side. Then in the center, you've got all of your critical functions like speed, battery capacity, all that sort of stuff. So that's all sort of sent through that center screen. You can customize the design of that as well and switch through a couple of different designs if you want. So the only downside to this system, I mentioned before that there was a chink in the armor, and that is that I can't see these two screens. Well, I can only see parts of the screen. So if I have CarPlay running, for example, I have to put my head around the steering wheel there to catch the outer elements of that. And I just think it's not a great design. They should have pushed this screen out a little bit further and perhaps had the air vent there to really sort of fix that issue. But yeah, I guess it is one of the downsides to having this sort of pretty cool looking fighter style cockpit setup. Now on the safety front, you have autonomous emergency braking with pedestrian and cyclist detection. You don't have an auto dimming rear vision mirror, which is strange. So it's just a manually sort of switching one. You've got blind spot monitoring built into the wing mirror. You have a lane departure warning and a lane keeping assistant along with radar cruise control. You've got front and rear parking sensors and a 360 camera. I'll show you what that looks like. So look, the camera is sort of decent quality, but the problem is it's sort of over on this side, so it's a little bit tricky to see, again, because of the steering wheel in the way. So you just got to rely on your parking sensors and all the beeping. And that's what the horn sounds like. So practicality, let's start off with connectivity. You've got USB-A and a USB-C charging port down here. There is no wireless phone charging, which is a little bit disappointing. You do have a phone holder off to the side here though, and I mentioned before you've got these adjustable cup holders. You've got some storage off to the side there as well, and then a sort of pretty reasonably sized glove box for a small car like this. There's also storage behind the seats as well for little odds and ends, which is good. Now, in terms of comfort, you have dual zone automatic climate control that's driven through this screen over here. You've got seat heating, but no seat cooling, and a heated steering wheel as well. Electric seat adjustment for both the driver and front passenger with seat memory as well. And then the steering wheel offers both tilt and reach adjustment. And on our reach test, all of this stuff is actually really easy to reach while you're driving. Now let's talk cargo space. So as you'd expect, it's not exactly huge, but it's also not terrible either. So you've got just under 300 litres available, enough room for the charging cable, and beneath the cargo floor you have a tyre repair kit as well. Show you what it looks like with the bag in there. You've got enough space to fit a suitcase if you need to. Unfortunately, there isn't any storage under the bonnet though in terms of the front. So this is the only storage you have in terms of cargo space. Now, let's talk about charging and battery quickly. So you've got a 74 kilowatt hour usable battery, or 74.4. You can do AC and DC charging. AC charging will be 11 kilowatts up to 3-phase, and then DC charging peaks at 144 kilowatts, but averages 85. So not really amazing if you ask me. It could be much quicker. Means you're going to be sitting there for a little while on the charger. It uses a lithium-ion battery as well, and a driving range of around 450 kilometres on the WLTP cycle. Okay, we've just hit the road in the Cyberster. Now, being a modern car these days, I'm going to switch off all the beepy annoying things because they are all on by default when you start the car. It's just one of those frustrating government regulation things. So overspeed alert, turn that off, and I'll just kill lane departure assistant just here because we're Don't want that to noise. And the driver fatigue monitor, that can be silenced as well. There we go. Now let's talk about the drivetrain here. So fully electric, you've got 2 electric motors, one on the front axle, one on the rear axle. Now it is interesting, in comfort mode, it's only actually using the rear motor to send torque to the ground, and then it is also only using the rear motor for regen as well. So it's just one of those efficiency things. It means you're not having to power 2 sets of motors when one basically just does the job. So it produces a combined 375 kilowatts of power and over 700 newton meters of torque. It is crazy. So 150 at the front and 250 at the rear. So a big sort of difference there. What does all that feel like behind the wheel? So in comfort mode, you plant the throttle, it still actually goes pretty hard as a rear wheel drive vehicle. And in comfort mode as well, and it kind of does this in sport mode too, when you hit the throttle hard, there's a slight delay. It doesn't sort of punch you in the back straight away. And the delay is deliberate. It's been engineered to give you that smooth acceleration as it starts sort of sending torque to that rear axle. So it's quite a sort of nice feeling, and it just means that it doesn't sort of feel like it's all suddenly happening at once, which can make you feel sick if you just keep going on and off the throttle with it. Now in terms of economy, MG claims a combined average of just over 19 kilowatt hours per 100 Ks. Let's have a little sticky beak here at what we're currently averaging. We are currently averaging 20 kilowatt hours per 100 Ks, and that's been predominantly with highway driving. So pretty impressive figure when you consider the car weighs just under 2 tons, and you know, it's not exactly the most efficient design in the world. So pretty impressive that, and that means you're going to get a driving range of around 400 kilometers. Now let's talk about the regen modes. So you've got the left-hand paddle is to move between the regen modes, and the right-hand paddle is to move between the drive modes. Right now I'm on single pedal drive, so I roll out of the throttle, it basically will bring the car to a full stop. The single pedal drive mode actually works really well, so they've engineered it to just give you nice gradual deceleration, and then it stops really gently as well. Some cars still are quite abrupt when they stop. This actually stops quite nicely, so that's a pretty sort of decent setup. Now the ride. In and around town, this is fantastic. Even though you're sitting on such low profile tires, the ride is so comfortable, and it's pretty surprising what they've been able to achieve there. But let's dial up the speed here to 130, which is maximum speed limit in Australia, and also the speed that we attack our sine waves at. Okay, here we go. So there's 130 there. Yeah, look, the body control's actually not too bad. Even though the suspension is quite soft, it sort of doesn't really linger too high for too long, so it's a pretty sort of decent setup. Okay, bumpy road time. Let's see what this is like. We do this at 90 Ks an hour. So it's a shocker of a road, and then we have a condensed sine wave here as well that really shakes the car up. So there's 90. Let's see what this feels like. It is actually pretty comfortable for a car that's sitting on such big wheels. All right, there's our condensed sine wave. Yeah, you know what, it's actually not too bad. For a convertible, there isn't a great deal of scuttle shake, and that is one of the biggest issues. If you drive like an older Lexus or Mercedes-Benz convertible, oh, they are horrific when it comes to scuttle shake, whereas this actually feels quite comfortable. So they've done a good job in terms of making this chassis nice and rigid. Now let's go for a bit of a sportier drive. So we got sport mode and then super sport mode. So let's go super sport. Give that a pin. Oh yes. Wow, that is impressive. All right, let's see what it's like through our first corner here. Oh, it's not liking that. A bit of ABS kicking in. Wow, it is quick. You can definitely feel that it's got over 700 newton meters of torque. All right, roll onto the throttle here. Yeah, look at it, it is bouncing around a fair bit, and let's see what it's like here. Oh, yeah, those mid-corner bumps really do unsettle the vehicle, but the acceleration is unbelievable. It really just picks up and moves really nicely. We've got another couple of bumps coming into the back straight here. Yeah, you can feel it kind of wallowing around a bit there. See what it's like along our back straight here as well. It has a lot of traction. That is something that's not missing. It's just the ride is just so soft that it's bouncing around too much when you're hitting bumps mid-corner. Give that a little boot along the back there. Look at that. Oh, yeah, that's moving nice and quickly. So, yeah, look, you know, I would describe this as more of a GT than a sports car. Like these bumps that you're hitting mid-corner, when they do sort of shift the car around a bit, what you find is that you're then getting stability control intervening, traction controls flashing away, and it just tends to be a little bit intrusive, and that is going to prevent you from driving too fast. And not that you need to be doing, you know, light speed kind of speeds. I don't think the car is engineered for that. I think they really have tried to make this a comfortable Grand Tourer as opposed to a corner carver. Yes, you can sort of get stuck into it if you need to, but it is going to be limited by the fact of that soft suspension. You can even see down here, it might be a little hard to see on our GoPro, but right now in Super Sport mode, it's still only doing regen through the rear axle, and that's where you're going to get the complications when it comes to getting out of the throttle as you approach a corner or you hit a bump mid-corner. That is when the car is going to be unsettled, because it's trying to brake the wheel, it's trying to then manage acceleration and stability control. Really is just a very hard balance to meet. Now let's talk road noise. You are getting a bit of road noise coming into the cabin, and unfortunately it can't be helped because you've got this canvas roof, and then that really does let a lot of noise in, and it's something that is going to be hard to avoid, unfortunately. So if you are on a coarse chip road, it is going to, you know, be quite noisy, but you've got that Bose sound system. You can kind of drown it out just by cranking up the volume a bit. Now, what about your visibility? So I can see clearly down the front there. The wing mirrors are really nice and big as well, so I can see down the side as well. You've got blind spot monitor there. You also have a camera that looks down the sides of the vehicle, and vision out at the back is fine as well. The seating position is weird though. You kind of sit quite high up because you're sitting on top of the battery pack. So it does feel like you're lurching a little bit. I'd love to be able to sit a little bit lower, but you know, it's not the end of the world. Okay, let's have a look at the lane keeping assistant, see how well that works. You engage cruise control by pressing the steering wheel button. We'll do it at 70 kilometers an hour. It's all going to be a little bit tricky to see on the GoPro given that it is so glary. There it is there. So we've got this active now in the first lane. We're going to use our 3 outer lanes to see how well it performs. So first lane is great. It's keeping us nice and central there. So let's jump over to the next lane. Wait for that steering wheel to engage. All right, there it is there. Not loving that. It kind of just went down to the line. It did sort of fix itself up there, but it took a moment to get itself sorted. Once it did though, we were pretty much dead center there. All right, try the outermost lane. See how it performs up here. Wait for that steering wheel to go blue. No, it doesn't look like it's keen to engage up here. All right, so it is a pass in lane 1 and 2, but it doesn't actually want to engage up here in our outermost lane. Now, I hear you asking, what is it like with the roof down? How much buffeting do you get? Well, the roof can go down at like 40 k's an hour, so let's get it up to 40 and we'll drop that down and see what it's like. Got a little wind protector there. Whoa. Yeah, the initial bit, because you're creating a lot of diffusion there. I guess we'll try both with the windows up and the windows down at 100 k's an hour. So there it is there. My white shirt is probably horrendously overexposed, but so there's 80, 90. Well, it's actually really good. 100 k's an hour. There's like no buffeting inside the cabin, just my head. That's pretty good. Try it with windows down. And back up to 100. Yeah, a lot more buffeting there, but it's actually not too bad. So there you go. Works as a convertible even at highway speeds. Okie dokie, time to do some performance testing. So MG claims an official 0 to 100 time of just over 3 seconds. Our battery's pretty low at the moment, 28%. So we're gonna do a run now, but we've also done a run in this when we filled our drag racing series. So I guess we'll just overlay those back to back in case this doesn't live up to expectation. Now it does have launch control, so you go into the driving settings, you then turn ESC off, and then launch mode is ready, and launch mode is activated by engaging Super Sport and then pressing the brake and the throttle at the same time, and then you get a message appear on the screen here. So let's give that a shot. There it is there. Oh, that is still very quick, even with a low battery. Wow. All right, there's 120. So we've gone all the way through to 120, so we can get our 80 to 120 time as well. That is so good. Oh, all right, let's have a little look. So that is 0 to 100 in 3.91. So that is slower than what we've had when the battery was at 100%. 80 to 120, 2.62. So pretty impressive time there, but 0 to 100 is much slower than what it is when it's at, well, not much slower, but slower than what it is at 100%. So let's head back and we'll do a stop from 100. Now let's do a stop from 100. There's 100 there, here we go. Oh. Let's see what that looked like. So 100 to 0, 2.61 seconds. Wow, 36.1 meters. That is pretty impressive. You know, anything between 35 and 40 is pretty good, and 36.1 isn't too bad. Now, if you do want to compare this to other cars we've tested before, have a look at the link in the description below. Now, how quick does it go in reverse? Let's find out. Here we go. All right, there it is, 39, 40 kilometers an hour. So the MG Cyberster, what do we reckon? I've admittedly never driven an MG that turns quite as many heads as this does. It is a pretty impressive looking machine. Look, it is incredibly quick in a straight line, and we discovered that when we went drag racing as well, so make sure you check out those videos when they go live. But through the corners, it's not quite there. It isn't dynamically the type of car that you want to throw through corners, and perhaps that's not a bad thing. Porsche's about to go electric with the Boxster, and that will be a corner carver. This just feels more like a GT. It's got a ride that feels like a GT, and then when you turn up the wick and start going around corners, it kind of feels exactly like a GT does, like a Bentley, I guess. So that is worth considering if you are buying one. Viciously quick in a straight line, but just consider the whole corner thing. Didn't love the infotainment as well, having everything there with steering wheel in the way of everything, but outside of that, it does everything else that it needs to do pretty well. So let me know what you reckon in the comments section below. Would you pay that kind of money for this? Would you buy an electric convertible car? Let me know what you reckon. If you did enjoy this video, please make sure you like it and you share it with your mates. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon. But until next time, see ya.